Coast. Everyone thought the golden retriever was just being possessive. They were wrong about everything that mattered. Coast. It started on a Sunday in March. Not dramatically, not with a bark or a bite or anything that announced itself as a moment worth remembering. It started the way the most important things often do. Quietly in a room that felt ordinary, with a dog sitting somewhere he had not sat before. Coast. Theo Barrows was 18 months old. He was the kind of toddler people described as happy, and the word was accurate. He woke without complaint, ate without negotiation, walked with a wobble that had recently started to resolve into something more confident. Coast. Their golden retriever Biscuit had been part of the house since before Theo existed. A 6-year-old dog of unremarkable temperament in the best sense. Steady, warm, content with long afternoons on the kitchen rug. On that Sunday, Biscuit moved from the kitchen rug to the playroom floor. He sat beside Theo. Coast, Marcus Theo's father, noticed it the way you notice something that doesn't fit a pattern you've grown accustomed to. He noted it, filed it as slightly unusual, moved on. Coast. By Tuesday, it was a different thing. Biscuit followed Theo from room to room, not behind him, beside him, within a foot. When Theo sat, Biscuit sat. When Theo stood to toddle toward the kitchen, Biscuit rose and moved with him. Coast. Marcus called it sweet. His wife, Priya, who was a high school biology teacher, called it something she couldn't name but would keep watching. Coast. On Thursday, Theo cried during his afternoon nap, a brief escalating cry that resolved without anyone entering the room. What did not resolve was Biscuit. He positioned himself at the nursery door and did not move until Theo woke and the door opened. Then he followed Theo to the kitchen without breaking proximity. Coast. That was the day Priya said what they were both circling. He's fixated. Coast. She did not mean it as an alarm. She meant it as an observation. Coast. But by Friday, she was describing what she had read about resource guarding, about dogs who developed unhealthy protective behaviors around children they perceived as vulnerable. She had read enough to know that proximity obsession and large dogs around small children required management. She was informed. She was careful. Coast. She was wrong. If you stay for stories about what animals sense before we do, you are in the right place. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Coast. Marcus's mother came to stay that weekend. She washed Biscuit for about 40 minutes and then said what grandmothers say when they see something the parents have overlooked. That dog is not fixated on the boy. That dog is worried about the boy. No one followed up on the distinction. Coast. On Saturday evening, Marcus moved Biscuit to the laundry room for the night. Not as a punishment. The door was solid. Biscuit scratched at it once, twice, a third time, then stopped. Marcus assumed he had settled. Coast. At 4:12 in the morning, the scratching resumed. Not agitated, not frantic. Rhythmic. Deliberate. The same sound every 30 seconds. Marcus lay in bed and counted 4 repetitions before he accepted that he was awake and rising. Coast. He went to the laundry room and opened the door. Biscuit did not bound out. He moved with the same measured pace he always used, directly down the hallway, directly to Theo's room, and pressed his nose to the base of the door. Marcus opened it. Coast. Theo was in his crib, eyes open, silent, not moving in the way that was wrong. Not the stillness of sleep. The stillness is something else. His face had a color Marcus could not have named but would remember. Coast. His fingers were slack against the mattress. Marcus picked him up and knew from the limpness alone that something was wrong. Priya was dialing before she reached the doorway. Coast. The paramedic who arrived, a woman named Claudia Ferrero, assessed Theo's blood glucose in the driveway at 3 in the morning. 29 milligrams per deciliter. Normal is 70 to 100. Coast. At 29, the brain is running below the threshold required for sustained function. There is no gradual slide from that number to seizure. It is not a long road. At the hospital, Dr. Solomon Adiemi, pediatric endocrinology, sat with Marcus and Priya and explained what Biscuit had been doing all week. Coast. Theo had an undetected pancreatic enzyme irregularity causing glucose to drop episodically, silently, without the irritability or color changes that would have flagged it under normal circumstances. The episodes have been occurring for at least 5 days. Coast. Dogs detect the volatile organic compounds released during hypoglycemia and exhaled breath. The compound is called isoprene. At fallen glucose levels, its concentration shifts in ways a dog registers before any external symptom appears. Coast. Biscuit had been sitting beside Theo since Sunday, because Sunday was when the chemical signature first changed. Coast. He was not fixated. He was monitoring every room he followed Theo into was not possessiveness. It was coverage. The night in the laundry room was 4 hours of a dog trying to reach the post he had assigned himself. Coast. Dr. Adeyemi looked at them both. Another 20 minutes and we would be treating a different kind of emergency. He said it plainly, without theater, because plain was the only register that fit. Coast. Has your dog ever done something that made no sense until it was the only thing that made sense? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. Ghost. They came home the following afternoon. Theo slept in his car seat the whole drive. Color returned. Glucose stable, a small white medical bracelet on his left wrist. Priya opened the laundry room door and Biscuit came out unhurried. Ghost. He walked to Theo's room. He lay down on the floor beside the crib. He rested his chin on his front paws and exhaled slowly, the way dogs exhale when whatever they were waiting for has finally arrived. Ghost. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never ask for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. Ghost. Marcus sat on the floor against the wall and watched Biscuit watch his son for a long time. He thought about Sunday, about moving from the kitchen rug to the playroom floor, about how small the beginning of something urgent can look from the outside. Ghost. Theo is 3 now. He has a monitor on his right arm. Biscuit is 9, slower than he used to be, his muzzle gone mostly white. He still sleeps at the foot of the crib. Ghost. Some posts never change. What happened the first night Biscuit's hearing began to fade. How he adapted what he could no longer hear into something else entirely is the story coming after this one.